Tell me what you say now. Tell me what you say, come again. If you cannot stay down, then you do not have to pretend like there is no way out.
I just wanted to note that this video is a trigger warning for anybody who has experienced any type of assault. Sexual assault will be talked about in here, sexual harassment and all things like that. So trigger warning. Hey babes, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Brittany. I just wanted to talk to you guys, so I figured I'll do my makeup while doing it. So yeah, let's get into it. So I'm like really disturbed that I feel like there's always been an attack on women, but I feel like there's like an attack on women lately, and it's fucking annoying me. Like I can't even talk. Like I've literally like had enough. Like there was a report of a woman in Philly being attacked on the train, and she was assaulted. Yeah, I have no words. Like, she was like sexually assaulted, and everybody stood by and watched her be assaulted, and it freaking kills me. It freaking kills me that like people could just sit there in a world full of, I don't know what's going on, but it just seems like everybody's more concerned with always recording something instead of helping. And it's just sickening. Like, at times, like, is video important at times? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, of course video is important at times. Like, you see a lot of people dying, a lot of black people dying at the hands of police and racists. So, of course, I feel like, you know, recording is important. But my God, at what expense? Like, this woman was sexually assaulted. Like, why would you even want that shit in your fucking phone? I'm so confused. Why would you want that as a memory? Like, why should she, after what she went through, have to go onto social media and still... It's like, it's crazy because, like, you know, when things happen to us, like, we replay it in our mind. And she's a victim of sexual assault, and she's going to be replaying that shit in her mind for the rest of her life. And then now when she goes on social media, you mean to tell me it can be found? You mean to tell me her assault is a Google search away? That's what y'all telling me. Like, that's what our society has amounted to? Like what's good? Like, what's good with y'all? Like, I feel like women keep getting attacked. Like, when I think about the girl, Maya, in Florida, who didn't want any relations with this guy, and no, it's just too much for him. Like, no, it's just too much for the dude. Like you killed her. Like, you dead ass killed her. Like, yo, shit like this get me so tight, because it's like, people always talk about, and it happens to everyone. To people who, it happens to all women, to even women who people feel like society puts them in a box of not being conventionally attractive or whatever the case is. Like, they get sexually harassed too, and this shit is annoying. And it's just like, yo, like, I don't know, because I'm not even a crier, but the way how this shit is getting me, like, bro, you mean to tell me people really stood by and was like recording with their phone? Like niggas is really like this? Like, y'all was really like, why would you even want that shit in your phone? That shit is not, like, why? Like, you wanted to show somebody that bad? Like, you wanted that memory that bad? Why would you even want that? Like, your mind is warped. Like, you're warped as fuck. If you thought to yourself, like, yo, I gotta get this. I gotta get this. Like, yo, like, content is really everything to some of y'all, huh? Like, that shit is not even content. And it's crazy because it's like, what you really gonna do with that? Because you can't put that shit nowhere. Social media is gonna take it down. Like, so you felt like recording was an option? You felt like that was cool? Like, you really felt like that was cool? Like, I can't believe nobody helped her. Like, yo, I felt so annoyed by it and so emotional by it, because, yo, plenty of times I done been followed since a little girl. Not even knowing anything about, like, you know, about even thinking about men. You know what I'm saying? As a little girl, like, I done been followed. I done been followed and cursed out like a dog. For not wanting to interact with a man, just for saying no because he's not my type, or because I simply have a boyfriend. Like, yo, I'm talking about men trying to fight me. And you mean to tell me that people really let a woman be sexually assaulted and didn't help her? Like, yo, that's crazy, man. I feel like you sitting by and watching an injustice, like, as far as somebody being assaulted, like, especially sexually assaulted, like, sexually harassed, I feel like you're just as bad. I'm sorry, there's no way around it. I feel like you're part of the fucking problem. Because at the end of the day, like, you see a lot of things where people have, like, go into, like, the pack effect, whereby it's like, motherfuckers will deadass jump you off the pack effect, like, you know, whereby it's like they feel stronger when they're together, they feel safety in numbers. But you mean to tell me at no point nobody locked eyes with people and was trying to take him down? And it's crazy because at no point, you know, the part that bothers me the most is, like, at no point did anybody say, like, you know, this man had a gun, you know, like, whereby it was like, you know, you would second guess it, like, as far as, like, you know, we gotta be careful, or, but you mean to tell me nobody was like, stop? Like, y'all had y'all phone out, like, y'all humiliated that woman. Like, I can't even think about it. I feel like, yo, it's so much shit as women that we go through that people will never understand. I feel like people would never understand. I feel like men are entitled and they still don't freaking get it, because, you know, even when I be saying no, and I have conversations with some men, they really feel like it's not that bad. Like, if I'm annoyed at the fact that I don't want to talk to this person, and, like, and they're bothering me, like, or if my mood changed because, like, I feel like I'm being harassed. Like, it's harassing. If I tell your ass, no, I don't want to talk to you, like, you should not be following me down the block. I'm not playing hard to get. You should not be following me down the block. Yo, it's plenty of times, bro, I done been intimidated by a dude, like, because he bigger than me, because he towering over me, knowing I don't want his dirty ass, but I done been intimidated that it's like, yo, like, I deadass gave him my number, like, I deadass is like, played nice with him, like, deadass, like, because I don't want him to smack my fucking head off. Like, that's crazy. Like, we should not even be living like that. Like, women should not feel like, yo, you gotta give a dude your number so that he won't violate you. Like, that's crazy, y'all. Like, that's crazy. And it's like, you know, a lot of times what I've noticed, like, when I've been out the street, it be women defending women. It don't be men, it be grown men. And they be right there and watching shit go on, watching you be harassed. But they don't care, because I feel like at some point or another, at some point in time, they done did the same thing. So they might feel like they can't, you know, they might feel like there's nothing wrong, like, with a man cursing out. Yo, I've been cursed out and I've seen other men laughing. Yo, I never forget it. Like, I am not a pushover by any means. I'm not someone who is afraid to speak up. But, like, you get tired of certain shit. I remember being at work 2 years ago. I'll never forget it, because it was the day before Thanksgiving. And it was just always this one man that kept fucking with me. Always. Like, it's like, I tried so many different ones, kept sexually harassing me. And I tried so many different ways, like, you know, to get him to stop. Like, I never really laughed at him because I didn't want to entice it. But, like, you know, sometimes it was like, he just seemed like sex was always a topic with him. Like, even when he was dealing with the other men in the department, like, he would be sending them, like, videos, sexual explicit videos, like, on WhatsApp or whatever. And it just seemed like he was never, like, it was just never enough for him. Like, I'm like, yo, like, there's dead ass sex workers out there, like, that will have sex with you. Like, why the fuck are you bothering me? Like, I said no, my nigga. Like, and it's crazy because it's like, you become in a situation. I'm the type of person that's like, I always speak up when I feel like there's an injustice being done to me, you know, and you just get, I got to a point where, because I was just fed up with my job, and I got to a point where it was like, you know, I was tired of my name being called. Like, you know, I was always speaking up for myself, and I was like the only one speaking up for me. Like, the one supervisor that I had that was speaking up for me was no longer there. We were like changing, we were in the middle of like changing management. My director at that point, I believe, was no longer there. Like, he was on his way out. My assistant director was on his way out. Like, it's crazy. We got like a whole new management, and they was trying to come in with like a vengeance. And so around that time, I basically didn't want to say anything about what was done to me. But I'll never forget, it was the day before Thanksgiving, and I was sitting in the lounge where we, like, you know, we'll have food, like there's fridges or whatever, like where we store our food, like our lunch or whatever. And he was in there, and he was speaking to another worker, and he was describing a woman, and he was like, yeah, her ass was like Britney's. And I'm like, no, don't bring me up, don't make me a discussion. And it was just like, it was so disgusting. And then it was like, he would do this thing, like he would do this thing where he would go between speaking in English and speaking in his language, and speaking Spanish, and it just made it seem more nasty. Like, it just made the, like, the comments that he made, because you knew they were sexual. You knew they were sexual comments, and he would just go back and forth between saying, like, whatever the fuck he was saying, and saying it in English and in Spanish. And I was annoyed, and I was like, stop bringing me up. So now I'm like, I'm getting ready to walk out. Yo, when I tell y'all, I used to hate walking in front of him, because I knew with me walking in front of him that his eyes was just gonna be on my ass, that I knew that he was just gonna be like behind me doing something perverted, like saying something that he ain't had no business saying to me. And it's crazy, because at my job, like, they do not play with like sexual harassment. And it's like, people be like, why you don't report? Yo, I will be reporting for days, because it wasn't just him, but I also worked on the floor with him, so I would see him the most. So, and I never play with dudes that way. I never played with dudes that way, because I never want you to feel like, I never date anyone at my job, I never flirt with anyone at my job. I feel like work is work, like, I go home. But it's like, yo, like, 2 other workers were in there in the lounge that day, and he was in there, and they were sitting at a table that was close to the door, like, to leave, and he was sitting at a table, like, that was, like, adjacent to them, and I was sitting at the table in back of them. It was three tables, and I was like, no. So now I'm like disgusted, I'm annoyed, I'm like, let me get the fuck out of here, because I already see, like, I'm about to be the topic of fucking discussion, and I didn't want to be, and it's so uncomfortable. And then it's like, you know what I'm saying, it's like, I'm in there with 3 men, and it's just like, you just feel yucky inside. Like, even when you ain't do nothing wrong, you fucking feel yucky. And why the fuck do I feel yucky? Bitch, I didn't do nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't do nothing wrong, and it's crazy, because you don't, you know, you're not doing nothing to entice it. You're just existing. And I think that's what makes it worse, is that you're just simply existing, and they go out their way to just be disgusting, you know? And so I get up to walk out, and I'm getting ready to walk out, and he's like, oh, she looked like Britney. And there was one guy in there, and, well, it was obviously 3 of them in there, but one guy in particular that I'm about to zero in on, yo, he was the only one, well, it was 2 guys in there, but only one of them actually said, like, leave her. I said, stop playing with me, stop. So I was like, you know, I changed my tone of, like, let me say it in layman terms. Like, I'm not gonna talk slang, I'm not gonna be on no hood shit, I'm gonna say it in layman terms. Stop it. I don't like it, bro. So then the guy, he had 2 daughters. The guy stepped in, and he was like, he looked up, because he don't really say much. One thing about that guy in particular, he doesn't really say much. He mind his business. Like, you could laugh with him, you could joke with him, but he don't really say much. But at that moment, I was annoyed because I felt like, yo, like, this shit is going on for man long. Like, he was saying things to me, and I already knew I was getting annoyed. But, you know, I was on my way getting ready to walk out the door. So I'm walking past the two guys' table, and the other guy is getting up and walking towards me. And one of the guys, he was like, yo, like, stop. She don't like it. She says she don't like it. Stop. And it's crazy. It's like me telling that dude to stop did not make him stop. It was somebody else, another grown man. Why do another grown man gotta tell you to stop bothering me as if I'm not a human being and I'm asking you to leave me the fuck alone? Like, why does another grown man gotta speak up for me for you to stop? Mind you, this man is like, I want to say 56. Could be my father. I don't play with this man. I've never, mind you, I've stopped talking to him in the past because I felt like, you know, he's disgusting, like he don't get it. I never say anything to him, but like we work in the same department, so at sometimes I pass due cross where I have to talk to him, you know what I'm saying? So it's crazy because other women say the same shit about him. Other women feel unsafe around him. Other women are disgusted by him. Bro, I went and I left out. No, I'm jumping around. So after the man defended me, he was like, yo, she said stop. And I'm like, do you know this man had the nerve to fear me off and said, what? So, like, I don't know what y'all do in y'all country. I can imagine in other countries. First of all, America is not the best place in the world. Let's just start there. But, like, I just think about foreign countries whereby it's like women really don't have a voice. Whereby women really don't have a say-so. Like, the shit that we go through, it don't even matter to them people. It don't even matter because who are we? We don't matter. We're women. And that shit annoyed me. So I was like, stop fucking. And it's the first time. And for someone who is as vocal as me, I ain't even had much. Like, I ain't even go off like I was supposed to. Like, you know, like I normally would. And it's like, you know, even the guy that defended me has said to me, like, you know, later on, like, yo, I just knew you was gonna go up. I thought you was gonna go crazy. And it's crazy because sometimes stuff happens to you, like, especially dealing with men, and you just like freeze up. And it wasn't because I was scared or anything. I was just like appalled that I'm telling this dude to stop, and I'm still thinking about my job, and I'm just like, yo, like, I wanted to go off. That's all I could think about is like how I wanted to go off. And I'm like, yo, I'm out here thinking about my job, and I'm worried about not going off because I felt like, you know, I'm the type of person who, like, obviously everyone knows that I speak up for myself. So, you know, I'm like, yo, my name gonna be called again. They're gonna be like, oh, that's just Brittany, like, you know, going off. And it's crazy that I was thinking like that, and I'm thinking about my job, and this man is over here being nasty. Like, over here being nasty and don't even give a fuck about his job. And I'm over here thinking about mine. Yo, I left that locker room, that lounge so mad. I went and told, like, one of these older nurses, like, she could be my mom, like this older Haitian nurse. Like, she was not with the shit. She ended up seeing the other guy that was sitting in the lounge, and she ended up telling him, like, I'm gonna, she was like, did you speak to him? Did you sat there while he was saying whatever to her? Did you know, and you said nothing? And she was like, yeah, she was like, I'm gonna take Brittany to report him. So, like, you know, I remember writing to a bunch of people, not a bunch, but like, there was like a handful of people that I would speak to at that job, because I don't really talk to nobody. I say to myself, I understand that my coworkers are my coworkers and nothing more. But I had, you know, I had told people, and then, like, they would, like, report it. And they was like, you need to report it. And I was like, you know what, the first step, I'm like, it's the day. And here I am, like, yo, like, I'm not even trying to make a scene, like, the day before Thanksgiving and shit, like, and why the fuck wasn't I thinking like that? You know what I'm saying? And I go, and I call my supervisor up here, who is a man, which sucks, because, like, my department is kind of almost, like, male-dominated. And I'm just like, yo, like, I go and tell my supervisor. I told him come upstairs. I didn't tell him what it was over the phone. I asked him to come upstairs, and I told him what was going on. And like, he like rolled his eyes inside. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm dead ass. But then I guess the nurse that I had already told, like, she had already seen my supervisor making his way to me, and she had stopped him and told him what was he. Mind you, when I was talking to like the other girls, they was like, yeah, he do this to X, Y, and Z, which I already knew that he's disgusting. And he don't get it, but it's like a lot of these dudes give rapey vibes. Like if somebody said that he raped them, I would hands down believe it. So when I was talking to these other women, they was like, yeah, like, if you going to HR, I'm going with you because he did this to me. Like, my homegirl was telling me how when she would walk in front of him, he would be like, grande culo. And he has a way of, like, lowering his voice. Like, when he's saying something sexual and disgusting to you, like, you just know that he's saying something that he don't got no business saying to you. You know what I'm saying? And then these people, these type of men are sneaky because they will literally know when to do something and know when to not do something. Like, whereby it would make you look like you're crazy or like you're a liar or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I think that'd be the worst part. So, long story short, my supervisor comes upstairs. When he comes upstairs, yeah, he rolls his eyes. I'm like, yo, like, why? He was, my supervisor, a man, literally said to me, begged me. He was like, yo, can I, he was like, yo, can you allow me just to speak to him? He was like, can you allow me just to speak to him before you do anything else? And I'm like, wow. And it was like, at that moment, I'm like, I see why women don't say shit. I see why women don't report the misconduct that happens to them. Their sexual assaults. It's like this unwritten bro code where this man literally said to me, like, yo, can I just speak to him first? And ask him to stop, and if it persists, then we can go to HR. Wow. And this is why they say protect black women. This is why. And this is why women in general don't feel protected in the workplace. This is why. I was just like, wow. Like, and it just got to the point whereby you think, like, of every little misfit you might have happened into, like, you might have cursed Susie out, you might have cursed Nikki out over, like, you know, something petty, like, they got on your nerves, and you might have got the best thing, and then you start thinking, like, oh, if it goes to HR, like, am I gonna be, you know, penalized? Are they gonna try to bring up this? Is it gonna be a paper trail? And I just, you know, going back on hindsight, I really wish I would have said something, because the worst part about it all was, like, you know, I was talking to somebody, and I was speaking to another nurse, like, from, like, a different race, and she was like, you need to report it, and I'm taking it. I'm going with you. You know what I'm saying? She was a white woman, and y'all already know, with that being said, she was like, let's go. I'm going with you. So she ended up texting me because I was going to be walking down by her way, because, you know, she's a nurse. Like, I work on labor and delivery, and she was, like, in and out of her patient's room. She couldn't really sit there and, you know, console me the way she wanted to. So she knew I was making my way down to her when I finished my task. So she said to me, she ended up texting me, and she was like, just so you know, your supervisor's down here with the guy that, you know, was sexually harassing me. And I was so disgusted, and she was disgusted because they was, like, laughing and kikiing, and I'm like, bro, I came up here and I came to you and I did the right thing, and I didn't even go off of him like I could have, because I was like, yo, I'm doing the right thing. I'm tired of him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, I already been at that job, like, what, 5.5 years, and I'm like, yo, like, I'm doing it the right way. Like, I'm not spazzing out, and I'm like, you up here laughing with this man. This man out here making me feel small, making me feel disgusted, like I did something, and you up here laughing with him. I see why people don't talk about the stuff that happened to them. I see why. I literally see why, because of shit like this. Like, I was so disgusted, and still to this day, like, my supervisor, I told him, I asked him, I was like, yo, I want to go home early. He's like, yeah. Any other time, I mean, do he be letting me go home early sometimes? He was like, yeah, but normally he be like, oh, Brett, stay till this, or can you do... It wasn't even a fight. The supervisor was like, go home. But you was saying that he came up to the floor twice on 2 different occasions. I saw him on the floor talking to him. And I'm going to tell you some things that bother me. I'm like, you consoling him. And you say, and I don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. if y'all devising a plan against me or what. But you up here talking to him like I was talking about, like I was running after him, like I was like, you know, sexually harassing him, and that shit burnt me so bad. It burnt me to the fucking core. And then what kills me is that I had a conversation with the other man, not the man that stood up for me. And the other man, like, it bothered me because he really didn't say nothing until the other guy said something. And I'm like, I knew you longer. Like, if I'm saying, like, it kills me because it's like, y'all be having mothers, y'all be having sisters, y'all be having daughters, and like, you're not gonna stand up for somebody when you see an injustice being done. Like, you see that, and it's like, you as a man, like, you should be uncomfortable that this shit is even happening in your presence. Like, you shouldn't even want no parts of it. But I don't know, like, so after that, you know, the second guy had came to me, and he had said to me, he was like, you know, I had told him he's wrong for that, and that I don't know how, it don't matter how y'all play when nobody's around, but when somebody's around, like, you can't be doing shit like that. And that statement bothered me so bad. And still to this day, it bothers me. And, you know, he's brought up that conversation, what happened, like, you know, since then. And it's just like, what do you mean by that? I don't play with this man like that. And it makes you feel like these men be setting up traps and be lying and be talking about that people got stuff going on that they really don't got going on. Like, you know, like, it seems like they just be cleaning up as they go. Like, you know, protecting themselves, like trying to act like I'll be cool with him. Like, I'll be cool with him, or I'll be okay with the nastiness that he be doing to me when nobody else is around. Like, no the fuck I don't. I don't like you. I'm not attracted to you at all. I think you're disgusting. And you could be my father. You are 50, like 56. Like, you're disgusting. And it just really bothers me to this day, because it's like women don't feel like they have anyone to defend them, to stand up for them. And I never get it, because every situation that I've ever been in where a woman needed protected from a man, it's never another man. Like, even being out the street, it's never another man protecting a woman. It's like, it's always a woman standing up for another woman. He used to make noises when I would sit down, like sexual noises, like he would groan. And it was so disgusting. And it's like, the worst part about it is that other men will watch him do it, and I just feel like other men don't say anything and don't react, because they know that they the same way. And they might not be overt, they might not be all loud with their stuff or like upfront with the nastiness they do, but they be having locker room talk, and they know the nastiness that they be doing, and I think it's wrong. And throughout the whole process, like, flash forward to now, I had a situation whereby I went to go speak to my director, and I was in the office about something, and he was like telling me, you know, that I need to come to him when things are going wrong, and, you know, so that he can correct it. And I'm like, and I remember like lashing out and saying, like, why? I was sexually harassed since I started this job by one guy in particular. I mean, a lot of other guys do it too, but like one guy in particular in our department that you govern over, and he knew, because my supervisor was in there, and he, the one that was like, you know, gave him a pat on the shoulder, he knew and he ain't do shit. And so my supervisor, my director is like, oh, you know, this is a new director, because remember I told you that my management like has switched over, and he's like, oh, what just happened? And it's just like, I honestly thought about it, like, could I say anything? But what was gonna happen? They was gonna move me from my floor like I was the problem when he was the problem. I'm like, what are they gonna do? Are they really even gonna do anything about it? Or are they just gonna separate us, and he's still gonna have a job? He's disgusting. Y'all know he's disgusting. Like, it's like, even when we clocking out, y'all want us to stand out, y'all want us to stand on the line and clock out at the clock and line up while we dress in this male-dominated, you know, department. They're staring at us. You could tell they're talking about us. They're like, it's uncomfortable. And you mad at me because I'm clocking out early to go about my business, to get the fuck away from that? Like, and throughout that whole time, when that was happening to me and like the days prior and all that, the only time that I felt justified was when I was talking to another woman. And I say all of that to say this. Definitely situation would have been definitely different if we was outside of work. But I say all that to say this, like, yo, on some real shit, if y'all ever in a situation whereby a man is disrespecting you and I'm around, you know, he's talking crazy to you, he's sexually harassing you, I'm never gonna stand there and watch. Because there's been too many situations that I've been in, situations that I will never talk about on this platform, situations that your friends have been in, that you have been in, you know, situations that make you feel cringe when you shouldn't feel cringe, because, you know, stuff has happened to us as women. And it's like, I'm never gonna stand by. Like, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing that I'm standing by and watching someone go through some shit. And all I did was this? Like, what? Like, that man, it would have been awful. His head, I would have gouged his freaking eyes out. I would have knocked it. Honestly, my first defense would have been my pepper spray, because I stayed with some mates. Like, we all would have been choking and tearing up on that subway cart. We all would have been choking and tearing up. Like, I have too many stories about, like, even as a young girl, like, being on the fucking E train and men pulling out their penis. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, we gotta do better. Like, it's not okay to be a coward in a situation of, you might not be a overly fighter, but like, to stand by and do nothing, to stand by and not even pull out your phone to call the police, but to record, that shit is not okay. Like, there's ways that you can save the day without like physically hitting somebody or whatever, but just, I want everybody to think about, like, if that was you, what would you want to be done? Would you want people to record you, or would you want somebody to save you? Would you want somebody to help you? Like, we got to do better as human beings. We got to do better as a race, like, altogether, because the human race, like, what, the human race, like, what? Like, I feel for that girl. I feel for all the women who have gone through stuff and they felt silenced, and they felt like they couldn't say what they needed to say, and they felt like nobody justified them. Just know that if you feel like that and you feel like you're not heard, nobody else don't understand, I understand. And I say all that to say this: I would never, ever, ever watch you be assaulted and not defend you. Alright, y'all, I have nothing more to say. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Tell me what you say now. Tell me what you say, come again. If you cannot stay down,